What's that? I'm so casual. Hi, I'm Nina Hastie, and this is the position I always assume. I'm not quite sure what to do. I'm all glammed up and I'm in this dress, and here's this couch. Now we're going to talk about mental health. What are the questions? What causes depression? There's a distinction between depression and sadness. The sensation of sadness is like feeling stuck, right? So if you keep trying to get out of the same situation and you're doing different things and the situation isn't changing, that sensation of feeling stuck is similar to the sensation of sadness, right? Nothing is giving, nothing is moving, nothing is changing. It's a helplessness. That's sadness. People often mistake sadness for depression. Depression manifests in a variety of ways, sometimes oversleeping, sometimes undersleeping, sometimes anxiety, sometimes suicidal thoughts, etc. I don't deserve to live, I don't want to live, I'm tired of living. There's often a lot of exhaustion in this thing. Overeating, undereating. These are now symptoms. The cause, it can be a trigger, a trauma of sorts, or an onslaught of a variety of traumas. The human existence, lack of connection, lack of meaning, or good old-fashioned chemical imbalance, which is where I'm at the combination of like chemical imbalance and lots of trauma. But you'd be surprised how much trauma you can overcome with tools, or you can just like lay there and just be victim, like, oh, I'm depressed, I have a chemical imbalance, and then just give up. Then give up and stop wasting all of our time and our space. Maybe that's a cruel way to look at it, but we've all been there, and it's hard. Even if you think that you're not loved, even if you're in a hopeless situation, your life has meaning. And it's the meaning that gets you through everything. Yeah, absolutely, I've identified with being depressed. That was my first sort of diagnosis initially when I was about 17. I had a suicide attempt when I was very young. I think I had 2 actually, but anyway, whatever. I can't really remember. My memory is so affected. There's so much trauma that's happened, and my brain has also just blocked out a lot of stuff, to the point where, like, the other day I sat up and remembered something and I was like, oh, that's a horrible thing that happened. But because there was so much other trauma, I know this sounds terribly dark, but I was like, oh, some of the rapes weren't as bad as the others. Just like a small sexual assault thing I totally forgot about because there was other shit I was dealing with. I know that seems like a strange thing to laugh at, but I'm just like, what else am I supposed to do? And I'm going to sit here and feel sorry for myself, Like, I was even thinking about it last night. Like, I totally forgot about like the intricacies of a major trauma, which is like rape. But I was just like, if I have to spend all my time thinking about that I'm never going to get anything done. If I attach meaning to something, see, this is the thing, okay? So there's facts. Facts. What happened? I was in a situation where there was non-consensual physical situations with my body, okay? Now, I can attach meaning to that. I can say that this invalidated my existence, that this creates something where I am unworthy. That's what I did initially. I was too ashamed to talk about it. But if you remove the shame, you remove the power from that person and it from having any sort of control over you. And once you've released the power and the shame and the guilt and all the rest of it, it just becomes a meaningless thing, so that the rest of your existence can be focused on like what you need. Like, sometimes I really struggle with anxiety. So we started with the depression. So that was the first manifestation of this thing. Then it started manifesting in manic behavior. Because I'm a highly functional bipolar person, it was difficult to identify at first. So extreme highs and extreme lows. then there was a time, because I was taking drugs and things like that, messing with my brain chemicals, my cycles would be very high. So I was cycling high, low, high, low, high, low. At one stage, because I had to mark while the doctor was like looking at the one psychiatrist, I had to mark it in a diary, like how often my highs were. And I was cycling up and down 8 times a day. So it was like sort of borderline personality disorder at that stage of the game, but it was induced by my own playing with mind-altering substances, which is not fair. But that subsided once I got off that kind of stuff and then started making my way into discovering what the correct medical solution for me was from a medicine's perspective. Then last year, this time, so November 2020, I slipped a disc in my back, and as a result, I hurt my spine a little bit, and they put me on this medication that is like a nerve pain medication. But actually, the interesting part about that nerve medication is when they initially designed it, it was designed for a general anxiety disorder, and one of the side effects was it helped with nerve pain. So it's actually more prescribed for nerve pain, but actually its original creation was for general anxiety disorder. So when I came out of hospital, I phoned my psychiatrist and I was like, I've never felt better. Is this what people are supposed to feel every day? When you wake up and you're like, oh, no one's plotting against me. Do you know that I've woken up paranoid every day of my life since I can remember? Everybody hates me, I'm not good enough, all of those feelings. I didn't know that those things were attached to anxiety. I thought that, because I do a lot of self-esteem work, a lot of meditation, neuroplasticity retraining, slowing your brain down at night and then reprogramming your brain into being the bigger version of yourself, using cognitive behavioral therapy, kinesiology, body talk, all of the things, a holistic approach to everything. But what I didn't realize is that the condition changes. So it can work from a mood disorder into depression, and more into depression, depending what the stimulus is as well. We went through a pandemic. The pandemic was a piece of pie for me because I've been through so much other in my life. I did experience quite a lot of anxiety in the beginning of it, but it was anxiety that I was experiencing, not depression. The tools that you need to access are all around you. So I think a lot of people, they're like, I'm depressed, but the big issue is a financial barrier to access to mental health care. And that was my initial thing, when I lost everything and my hair fell out and I was sleeping on a floor in a drug den in Braamfontein, and I had, no contact with my family or my friends or anything. It was a very bad place in my life. And I really wanted help, but I couldn't afford it. I needed a dentist. I couldn't afford a dentist. I didn't have I had literally the clothes on my back. And through a variety of 1 or 2 favors and some support here and there and whatever, I managed to get to some AA meetings. And what was amazing about that is that it was free. There's access everywhere. There are meetings in every place in this country, and now it's even better because everything is online. And if you have access to internet, you can even join meetings overseas. You can join meetings in America, Europe, wherever, at any time of the day. There's a New York meeting that's on the hour every hour. There's AA meetings all over the show. And why I suggest that to people that struggle with depression is because for a large part of it, a 12-step program is so helpful to give you tools to focus on life. So what I realized that a large portion of all of this is if you can eliminate any mind-altering substances to somebody that's already got an underlying condition, because the whole point was why was I drinking? Why was I taking drugs in the first place to the extent that I was? And why did they have the effect on me that they did? Is because I was trying to self-medicate. I think we all are. I think our whole country has PTSD. We have an atrocity that happened in this country that has never been addressed. Everybody's depressed. Everybody's processing something. Everybody's got an identity crisis. If you're white and you've got an underlying guilt situation that you don't even know that you have, a fear, a want for control, to protect, to, something, people don't even know that that's how they're behaving. People don't even know that that's what they're processing. The onslaught of being black in South Africa, with so many limited access, without basics. Like mental health is like the last option when someone is still dealing with sanitation, the dignity of like decent sanitation, medical care, education, transport, all of these things that are basics, like decent housing. So when you're like, I need to address my mental health, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's your first priority. However, I learned in AA that anything that you put in front of your recovery, you will lose, right? So I had to just make sure that I focused on this thing so that I could stop self-medicating and find the correct medication. So these groups, you go to these rooms, they're free, they offer coffee, tea, sometimes biscuits, especially, I didn't have money yet. I didn't have food, guys. So there were people that were equipped to help give me some basic tools on how to survive. And they're things that are so basic that you wouldn't understand that that's what you need. I've had to learn how to educate my friends on my condition. So there's a variety of ways that sometimes it manifests. Sometimes I need to be left alone. Sometimes any other thing that you say could trigger me further. So if you agree with me, if I say, I cannot believe that I didn't get these photos, my life is over, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. And if they say, yeah, that's totally f***ed up. And then I'm like, now they're adding fuel to this fire of this thing that I want to be right about. So that might not be helpful behavior for somebody that's having an episode. So you can't encourage something. I have friends who have learned to be quiet in that time, to neither agree or disagree with me, so that I can stop spiraling on my own. And once that major first spiral sort of happens, I've learned how to be open to people helping me rationalize something and say, you know that this is not a real threat. You know that this is a temporary sensation. You know that your world isn't ending because the photographs of your birthday don't exist. And yes, this was an important thing, and yes, you were commemorating something, but you're just gonna have to rely on good old-fashioned memory, and that's enough, and you are loved, and that doesn't mean that you are not loved, and it doesn't mean that you have to be afraid of the world. And there's people that know how to say those words because they've learned with me. So I think the major thing is, if somebody's having an episode, is not to encourage their trigger. People didn't understand at first, but I'm teaching the people around me to know what that is. And you'd be surprised how much empathy people have. They just need perspective. You just need to explain it to people. This is my human experience. That's your human experience, and this is what it is. We underestimate each other. There are a lot of stupid people en masse, but that's because they're buying into an idea because no one else is offering them an alternative idea. I've got the time to do the heavy lifting of this kind of thinking, and I will express it to you. So you can just accept it, because no one else is sitting around thinking about, gosh, unless it's personally affecting you, why are you going to go and think about it? No one's going to be like, I wonder how people can express their mental health problems. If you're just a person who doesn't experience this or have any access to anyone that does, why would you create a space for that kind of thinking? It doesn't make sense. So it's my job. The onus is on us for now. It'll normalize soon, but for now, I have to use the space and voice that I have. Because I know what I'm talking about. Because people haven't given this enough thought, because I've been struggling with this. I'm 38 years old. It's taken me 20 years to deal with my mental health. This is hard. This is really hard. And I have dedicated my adult life to understanding this thing. And that requires a lot of time. I don't have children. I don't have a husband. A lot of people are living their lives. I run my business and I deal with my mental health. That's my life. So let me alleviate some pressure from you. And I've already figured this out. Let me give you the keys. I've got the keys. Just listen to me, you know? And then come to my cult and then we can, I'm just joking. If I do this in a public space, I'm allowing this thing to be more normalized. I can express this thing so that you understand that it's a real thing, that somebody you can relate to, just like you have someone endorsing something on Verimark. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This mops the floors, because that's why people use celebrity endorsements, because it's something that people can see, oh, that's that sportsman from that rugby thing. That's somebody that I trust. Cool, you've seen me on your television, or you've heard me, or you've seen me on stage. I'm someone that you can trust to endorse this thing. That's why people, it creates comfort, it creates trust. And that's what people need, particularly with something as insidious as mental health issues. Read books, guys, or read articles, learn, listen to podcasts. If reading is hard for you, listen to podcasts, listen to interviews, audiobooks, watch YouTube, watch videos, watch series. Consume information. There's so much of it. There's so much information. Listen to music. If you're experiencing like a panic attack, okay, let me give you like a very practical example. If you're experiencing a panic attack and you don't know how to get out of it, you need to change the state of your body. Remember I said your body experiences the thing, the knock-on effect to change your thoughts or what's happening in your body is physiological, because we're only attaching meaning to experiences. I'm having a panic attack, this is bad. I'm having a panic attack, this is weak. Take the attachments out of that thing and just say, okay, cool, I'm having a physiological reaction, my heart rate is up, I'm sweating, whatever. How do we eliminate that sensation? You create a new sensation. You have a cold shower. You go walk outside on the grass. You go stand outside, or if you're outside and it's too much, you go stand inside. Change your physical environment in order to change the physiological sensation that you are currently experiencing, and then share with someone what you're doing or what you're experiencing, so that there can be connection to create a meaningful existence, so someone else can understand your human experience, so that you can feel like you belong in the world. Isn't it? The meaning of life is connection, otherwise what the is the point? It's connection.